You're listening to Two Babies in a Business, a podcast where Peter and I take a moment out of our day to discuss business, parenting, and partnership, and all based on a topic that we simply draw out of a tin. Lots in there. Can find one for today.
I'm gonna add some topics soon.
You're gonna what? You're putting
Add
your
some
own
topics. I should.
in? Some of
I
these
got
are
lots of
yours.
topics.
Okay, this is an interesting one. It's parenting.
Okay. All right.
Always surprised. I mean, there's a whole section on parenting and what we talk about, business, parenting, partnership. I kind of want, can I start this time?
Yes, you can.
I think, when I think about business and parenting, so I feel like this will be a smaller snapshot, is, now that our boys are 6, there's definitely like this heightened awareness of watching us and seeing what we do, and they're listening to our conversations, and we'll definitely be in the car talking about a client or a situation or something, and both boys are very engaged, and I'd like to think that boys are smart kids. They ask smart questions of us all the time, and it's interesting. It always causes me to not necessarily adjust what we're talking about, because I want to be honest and open with my kids. I want them to know that running a business isn't easy. I think that when you are a business owner, you should make it very aware to your kids, what that entails. I think it's a
Yeah.
difficult concept. They see our work at home. This is mom's office. This isn't a spare room. That's dad's office downstairs. Like,
Yeah.
we don't leave the house. We're not this conventional, dad's a firefighter or mom works downtown. So, I think it's valuable to discuss and for them to know. The boys always help me with quarter end paperwork and year
Sorting.
end
Sorting
paperwork.
papers. Yeah.
Sorting papers. Now that they can write, they write on, cost of goods on a bunch of stuff or things like that. So
Yeah.
it's like there's this involvement, there's this awareness. I think we're very honest about it. And what I also think is really interesting, and I think both of them have this desire to be a boss
Yeah.
when they grow up. And I don't necessarily think 100% they know what that means, but they definitely, they have their own little business where they want to shovel driveways, and how is this going to grow, and they talk about it in a very particular way. And I for sure shoveled driveways. I actually have a picture on my desk of me shoveling a driveway when I was a kid, when I would go and like kids do that. They go and make $5 or whatever, but like our kids talk about it in a very interesting way, because I think that's, how they hear us talk about it. So, I think that, like, for me, business parenting is like, I made a conscious decision to have this type of job. Frankly, like, this type of job enabled us to have kids, because I was
Well, and
way
yeah, exactly.
stressed out in
Yeah.
my corporate job. There was so much stress in that I basically was told, you're too stressed,
Yeah.
figure that out before, your body's going to allow you to have kids. So yeah, I think we do a good job. Balance is hard, but I think we do an okay job at least being honest and open and parenting through working from home, I
Yeah.
guess.
And I'll just sort of say that, I mean, in terms of the idea of parenting from a business owner perspective and an entrepreneur perspective. So I grew up with, my parents had a business. So this is what I know. Parents working together in a business. It's kind of the world I grew up in. I also grew up in my dad's business. It was an important part of my upbringing. Obviously it had a big impact on me. But I think if you're an entrepreneur and a parent, you really need to be clear in your mind about who your business is serving. So I'm going to use this. So for us, we made a conscious decision to start this business so that we can be home and here with our kids. Like, we did it to serve our family and our life by design that we're trying to create. Whereas, obviously my dad's business served my family well financially, but my dad, was away all the time and working all the time and whatever. And, I'm doing, and, you'd get them, I'm doing this all for you guys. I'm doing this all for the kids. But, it's like, but, later in life, he admitted it's like, that it served him. It was his community he was building. It was his, right? And I mean, he still says he did it all for us, and I don't want to take that away from him because that's what parents say, but I think it's important that we're honest about that. And hey, if you like, don't, if you're running a bit, like running a business takes a lot of work, a lot of hours, it's really hard, it's very stressful. And if you're telling your kids that you're doing this all for them, I think you're lying to them. So I'm just gonna, and you might be damaging them. So that's just me really just going deep on that one.
That's
Unless
your deep issues.
now
You're
we're
just
talking about
sharing.
my daddy issues. Now we're talking about my daddy issues, but no, like unless the business is truly serving the family. And so in our case, you and I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, we to spend time in our business. And then our kids wake up and we get them ready for school, take them to school, and then we work until school's over, and then we have time for our kids. So we
Yeah.
deliberately made our business that way. And we work really, really, really hard to make it so. And so I truly think that our business is serving our family and our kids in the way we want it to, and in an honest way. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case for a lot of entrepreneurs. And so, it's, I think for some, it's like, hey, it gets me away from home. So, and it gives me a place to build a community or build, a
Yeah.
network or build, and that's fine. And work is like that too. So it's not just a business. But I think, as a parent, you really need to be honest with yourself about who the things you're doing are actually serving. And so this is just, I guess, my thought as about parenting in general, transitioning it to parenting outside of business is, I think good parenting is all about being honest with yourself as a parent, and understanding what who your decisions are for, and not projecting onto your kids your insecurities and all these other things, right? And I don't even know where I'm going with this, but it's
Perfect.
yeah.
You have a lot to say on this. I mean, parenting is something you and I talk about a lot. I think that you say this to people often. If anyone's had a long conversation with you, they know that we kind of say everyone's got mommy issues or daddy issues. Like pick
Everybody's got
one.
either a mommy issue or a daddy issue or both.
Or both. It's something we say cheekily, but not really. Like, I think we talk about those things often, and we talk about, how are we different, or how what are the things we liked, what are the things we didn't like, who are we trying to be? I do think honesty for me is a really important factor. Your dad is a fellow Enneagram 8. I think I understand your dad more than most people because we share that personality. And for me, that honesty with the kids and knowing your thoughts around some of the things he used to say, like, hey, I'm doing this for you. Um, there are definitely times where I've had to bring my laptop to a soccer practice. And I don't love doing that because, to your point, we're up at 4, we're working till 4, 3:30. Like, I don't like, I should be able to fit my workday in, right? But sometimes you can't. And I'm very honest with the kids. Like, I tell them, hey, today I'm bringing my laptop, and this is the reason why. I tell them what I need to get done, and I tell them, what I'm trying to enable by doing that work. Then I'm trying to get this done so that this weekend I don't have to be on the computer at all, and we can relax and enjoy or I'm doing this now because, actually I'm short staffed right now. You guys know the situation around whatever it is, and I need to get this done because someone is counting on mom, and
Yeah.
someone's counting on me to do this, and they get it.
Yeah.
Again, I think kids are a lot smarter than we think they are.
Way smarter
Even
than
in
adults. Adults are ruined. Kids
way
are pure.
smarter, way smarter. Even in karate, there's been a few situations like Bart. If anyone knows our lovely Bartek, he likes the attention when he's asked you to come, and he picks. We let them pick. Who do you want to come this week with you? He counts on us to be there watching. And I will tell him if I am expecting a text from someone or an email, or if I'm running and going, hey, I tell him, look, if you look at me and my head's in my phone, mom is just responding to Brad because he's waiting on my thing for something, or I promise this person I get back. I think there's just this level for me of like, very similar to like you. I like I just honesty is like a trait that is everything to me. I think the one thing that someone could do to like throw a knife in my heart is like lying. I hate that. I hate mistruth. I hate, right? Like own it. Like that's my commit and deliver.
Yeah,
Like just tell me, open communication. So to me, it's like, probably my kids will can go like, why did she always tell us everything? But like for me, it's like this valuable, like I just want to be honest with them. And,
yeah,
too, I feel like I definitely try to not be emotional as I'm sure many women will relate. After kids, I became a lot more emotional than I used to be.
I'm pretty
And,
emotional now too after kids.
you are very emotional now. Um, but I'm honest with him about it, right? Like these are happy tears and this is why. Or you know what? Mom's like had a bad day and like I'm feeling away and I try to just be overly emotional like
Yeah,
and overly communicative, not overly emotional, dear God, but overly communicative because right, like I'm a human and I think that kids need to know that their parents are human. Like, I
totally.
think that that's maybe what not that, not saying anything about our parents are great, but like, I think our generations in general, like, you know, parents are parents, they're human too, they're going through stuff. I think that can go a long way and potentially, whatever therapy bill come out the other end.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had an interesting post on LinkedIn actually today about education. And it was sort of, I reshared a post, and the post was about, a kid could have, by some grades, speak 5 languages and have, A grades and play the piano and have all these things that we measure people by success. Yet that person can have no self-confidence and can doubt themselves and have no ability to advocate for themselves and whatever, and it was really a post, so I reshared it, sort of really kind of, it was a reflective post about parenting, really, in the sense that, like, I think our society measures so all the wrong things. And I think about this as an employer, and this is what my post is about, is like, when I'm trying to hire somebody, I'm trying to hire somebody for problem solving skills, self-confidence, ability to
Yeah,
advocate for themselves, empathy, you know what I mean? All these soft skills is what I'm looking for as an employer. And I know that I can teach the hard skills if I have the right person with the right soft skills. Yet, as society, we put all this emphasis on all these hard skills, and you got to do good in school, and you got to do this and that, you got to blah blah blah, and you got to get grades, you got to get into college and university, and it's such fucking bullshit. Like, we like, and it's like, and like, we're like killing our children in terms of like nurturing them, their sense of self and their love for themselves and their expression and their passions and their, you know what I mean? And it's like, and it's like, hey, like, I gotta say, like, our society, our generation, many different people, this is a very broad statement, grow up and they're like, they don't know what their passions are, they don't know what they want to do, they lose themselves, and at sort of, there's this like midlife, I guess the midlife crisis happens, right? And I think it's because all their lives kids are pushed in a direction that society pushes, and this is what we measure success with, and it's like the wrong thing. And so I think as parents, we really need to take a step back and just nurture our kids, let them be themselves, let them express themselves, tell them they're amazing, let them learn how to love themselves, you know what I mean? And like, we're gonna actually like have kids that are way more functional in terms of the workplace,
yeah.
and B, just happier kids, right? Anyways, I think I can probably talk about this for like
No,
a
Bob.
long time.
No, I think it's very true. Like this should surprise no one, was a very good kid, very studious, academic, top of the class, on the debate club, did all the things right, right? Like
Checked all the boxes.
I checked all the boxes. And you know, followed a path. And it's not to say I wasn't passionate about the path I followed. I'm very happy I went into communications. I love what I do. Um, I kind of went into communications with the hope of being a journalist, and that changed for me dramatically in university as I kind of learned about what this field really meant, and that was a good thing. But I will say, you know, you were not a model student,
Not at all.
and had a journey to where you got to, and hey, we are, whether we're married or not, we're both in the same place,
Yeah.
making the same amount of money, living the same life,
Yeah.
and
But
here,
you know, but you know
excuse me,
what's
and here we are,
interesting?
right?
Yeah, but you know what's interesting is like I struggled through kind of grade school. I barely passed English 30. I had to like make it up. I learned, and then it's like, and then I found my passion and I found my direction and I found the things I love and I just like thrived. I crushed it in
Yeah,
university, crushed it, did great in my first job, like just crushed, you know what I mean? I was just like really doing well because I found some passion and I found whatever. But then I went in a direction again that was sort of trying to please my dad.
yeah,
And I sort of took a job in a place because of some messages that got my whole life about certain things. I'm not going to get into it because that's we can have a whole session on my daddy issues or whatever. But then I got to a place where it was like is this my passion that I'm chasing, or is this a passion that has been kind of bestowed on me by by my dad, right? And I think we really need to be careful as parents not to like put pressure on our kids to live our dream. Our role is to just like allow and enable and support unconditionally. And one of the quotes I put in that LinkedIn post today is, and I heard this in a book the other day, which really resonated with me, is that often parents will put as a condition of their love of their child how they do in school. And so if they don't do good in school, they will treat them a different way. And that is terrible. That is terrible. Like that is just like you're destroying your child. You're killing their inner child. Don't do it. And you know what I mean? And you know what? And like, and we have one child who's quite academic and one child who is less academic.
but
But
like
the
the
child
child
who's
who's
less academic is like freaking brilliant and is gonna be so successful. I know it, right? And he'll do fine academically, but he has to work harder at it, and that's okay, right?
but the child who is academic, if you ask him what his favorite things to do at school are, it's gym class,
It's not the
because
academics,
he's very naturally athletic, and both our
right?
kids are, again, like, in no way, shape, or form. I don't want them listening to this in a decade and going, "Wow, mom, I was good too. You're both good. You're both
They're
great."
both amazing.
But gym is his number one. Outdoor ed, recess. Why recess? Because he gets to play soccer with his friends. Like, it's like he is driven by athleticism. When he grows
Yeah,
up, he wants to be a World Cup soccer player, and there is no doubt in my mind that he can go and make
he
Team
wants to be.
Canada
Yeah, totally.
and put his mind to that and do those things. And to me, that's like, that is very interesting, and that's a
But
very interesting piece. And I
but the
guess for me too.
conversations from a school perspective, and I get it, I understand. This is not a criticism of the education system because they have to judge by something. But like that is the lens through which they judge. And I don't. And our kids go to an amazing school, so they don't judge but they're trying to support. And again, they're trying to support because they, these little things will help this child make it academically. And I'm like, yes, I'm all for it. Like whatever we can do to help the kid do well. But like at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, making it academically isn't necessarily like, as a parent, something that's like, oh, this is the most important thing in the world. And trust me, academics is important. And I believe in academics and I believe in education, but like, I also see and am smart enough to know that like some people do amazing things without any academic, education in any school. And what I've learned as an entrepreneur, actually, I'll say, is that I've learned more in the last 7 years as an entrepreneur than in the whatever 15, 18 years of school that I did academically. I didn't learn
Yeah.
anything really. I mean, I learned a lot, but like the real lessons came from running a business and actually doing and actually experiencing and dealing with whatever, like all the challenges and figuring out what to do next and the resiliency you need as an entrepreneur, right? And so I guess, I don't know, I'm sort of saying like, let's make sure we don't sort of conditionally love our children based on what we believe or society believes is, the boxes that need to be checked in terms of their success. Like see your kid for the amazing. Every single kid is amazing. Every single kid has amazing skills. And I think parenting, the role of parents is to enable and support kids in their amazingness and to allow them to flourish into something that they all
Yeah.
are, which is amazing.
Yeah, I completely agree. I would say, parenting um is having great conversations about parenting and where both parties are at and making the space to have these conversations. And, you know, again, we are super blessed to play the roles of the jobs that we get to do every day, that enables us to parent the way we want to parent and try to move in that direction. But for me, it's this like have conversations and have them often. Have conversations with your kids. Um, one
Listen
of the
to your
most
kids, allow them to
that's
talk.
yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that, I was just gonna say is like one of the things that actually like fills my heart the most is when either boy says to me, "Wow, that was a great chat." So I always say chat. That was a great chat, mom. Thanks. Like, and yeah, yeah, sometimes it's me who's instigating a conversation about something, but there is this active listening role and yes, but like it also starts with like this with the partner.
Yeah.
Um, and
Being
I
aligned as
think
partners, I think is important, obviously.
totally, and you and I think strive to do that. There's definitely times where we're not, and the kids now call us on it.
Yeah.
And it becomes, I think, a funny thing, right? Like they know mom and dad are aligned because I knew if my mom said no, I knew I could go to dad and he'd say yes. And I think
Yeah.
you and I both experienced that, and we said we were not going to do that. And then there are times when you just like don't get on the same page,
Or I didn't know you
and
said no, and then they come to me and I'm like, yeah,
right?
sure, why not?
Or
Right? Like,
whatever,
yeah,
right? So there are
yeah.
these moments, and because we are typically so consistent, the kids know, like, oh, like that situation becomes less about like they got away with something and more like, oh, dad's in trouble now, right? And I
Yeah.
just think like that's so important. One of the big things, and I've talked about this often with some of my girlfriends, is this like get on the same page from the beginning. And this is like the one advice I give to like any new mom when they ask, don't give a new mom advice unless they ask for it. Um, is let dad do things the way dad does things, because
Mhm.
mom's going to do things in a certain way and the other partner is going to do things in a different way. And as long as your reasoning and values and sentiment behind it is the same, no harm is being done. Just because they don't do it in the order you've done it in, or say the
Right.
exact same things that you've done, or read the book in the same way, or change the diaper in the same way. If the diaper's changed, the diaper's changed, and let your partner do it their way. Because as soon as you know you're aligned as partners in parenting and you're aligned in the goal, you're fine. And the
Yeah,
quicker
align
you
in the big picture and general direction, not in the little nitty gritty details and how they do it and their approach and whatever. Yeah, agreed,
because
100%.
like parenting is fucking hard,
Yeah,
especially in the first year,
yeah,
18 months. There were times at 2 in the morning where literally we were passing each other on the stairs. Hey, yeah, hello, okay, because we're taking shifts with for us newborns, but it's the same cup of tea for those with a singleton or with triplets.
yeah,
It's if you are aligned, and the quicker you can get over that, the better your self-care is going to be, because you're not going to have that anxiety and you're going to let someone else take control. And two, the stronger your relationship's going to be. And then three, for us 6 years later, the ability to have conversations like this and to align our business around it becomes so much easier. And I like the last thing I'll say about honesty and communication, maybe tying back to business a bit, is, you know, most of our clients also have kids and families. And, especially in a post-COVID world, there is a tremendous amount of grace and understanding. And I would encourage anyone to just be honest, right? We have a amazing client right now. I was going to say we, but really I don't do much GR for them. Her name's Crystal, and we've had great conversations about kids and just being a mom. And, there's been a few things where, oh, I'm trying to get this done for you, or, oh, you know what, I'm going to change this priority. And she gets it because she goes, I'm a mom too, and I get it.
Yeah,
And so
totally.
like, you always say like, lean into your people and find your people. And it's like parenting is a whole community on its own. So
Yeah.
don't do it in isolation.
Yeah, yeah. My final thought, I guess, is your role as a parent is to be there unconditionally for your child. And I think it's really important. We all grew up with certain patterns and behaviors and certain programming, which I want to talk about at some point. We've all have learned behaviors from our childhood, and our past doesn't define us. If you want to be a great parent, create a new path, create priorities, write them down. But really, your number one priority, in my opinion, is just obviously my personal opinion, is your job as a parent is to be there for your kids unconditionally as much as possible. They look up to you, they worship your every word. They notice when, to your point, you're at soccer or something and you're on your phone. They're watching, they're looking for your approval, they're looking for you. Are you watching at all times? I had a situation recently where I went with Bartek to karate and ran into a friend and ended up chatting with that friend for the entire hour, and missed his karate, and I felt horrible about it. It was a really, really bad mistake that I made as a parent.
He made sure you felt horrible
He
about
told me
it.
all about it, and you know what, it was really, but you know what, it's like, I guess to my credit is like, that's the first time that's ever happened. Like normally I'm there and I'm watching and I'm very attentive. And so like, I really asked him for forgiveness, and I admitted the fact that I made a mistake, but I see a lot of parents doing that kind of stuff all the time. It's like, and like, don't get me wrong, like sometimes you got to drop your kids off at a sport and go do whatever. But the point is be transparent about it, be honest with them about it, and don't make it it's always I'm dropping you off. Like, be there for your kids. Like, there's nothing more that matters. There's no more value in life than the relationship between you and your children, and you being there and supporting them. I feel like I'm lecturing and ranting now,
You're
but
on your soapbox. I'm going to end this with saying we are not professionals. We are
no,
not licensed in anything. This is
nor are we
simply,
perfect parents. Far from it.
nor far from it. And this is just our, you know, probably more than 2 cents. It's probably more like a dime at this point of how we tackle things. So, if our lifestyle resonates and is something you look at as, hey, they have things going okay, here's some of our tips. But again, you got to do what works for you, and
100%.
whatever works for you, it's about communicating and being honest, I think, is like the crux.
A key message. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're all about key messages over here. All right, well, that's parenting, because after all, we are two babies in a business.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you for joining in for another episode of Two Babies in a Business. CIPR Communications is a public relations and digital marketing firm partnering with clients across North America to reach their brand reputation and lead generation goals. Follow us on social at CIPR Comms and check out our website ciprcommunications.com for more information. If you have questions or want to be part of a future podcast, reach out at media@ciprcommunications.com. I'm James Falls, CIPR's PR specialist, and I'm looking forward to our next episode. Subscribe on your Spotify or iTunes account so you don't miss the next one.